and she goes,
Sorry, continue.
okay. She wasn't getting really good cell reception where she was at. There was some stuff going on. So I don't know if maybe she just got tied up and didn't make it on.
That's all right.
No. It happens. So.
Huh. Well, hopefully maybe a couple people hop on in the middle of it and leave it on in the background at least.
Yeah.
So let me find my PowerPoint slides I got prepared for y'all, and I'll share my screen, and then we'll get to rolling.
Okay. If you give me, I'm just gonna, forgive me, Indiana.
You're good.
I got the zoomies, and the other one is Indy. Come. Great, for just a second, please. Come on. She's like, I'm not. Come on. Great. Come on, just first.
All right. Can you guys see this all right?
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay, cool. All right. So you two specifically are going to be familiar with a lot of these things, but I think it will help a lot of others who have not heard these things. So hopefully everybody who's listening to this or watching this will get something out of it today. That's my goal. So this is going to help you work it out of starvation mode. If you've never heard what that is or what that means, I'll explain that. So that you can start losing your first couple pounds, and then hopefully if your goal is more than 5 pounds, which it is for most people, you'll get to that end goal. By starting with this foundational stuff that's going to help you. Next slide. There we go. Wait, I think it went too far. Nope, it did. Okay. So what exactly is starvation mode? Starvation mode is a state of conservation of energy output. So starvation mode, conservation mode, I mean, you can kind of interchange the words both together, but your body is just conserving energy as much as it can. Some signs and symptoms of that: you're going to either be in weight gain, or you're not going to be able to lose any weight. You're going to feel tired and sluggish all the time, probably have some sugar cravings, maybe have some poor sleep. These aren't all absolute. It's not like you're checking all of them or none of them. You could experience maybe 3 out of the 6 of those. If you're working out or you're just exhausted from work, your body's not recovering well. And then a lot of times you're relying on caffeine to get that energy bump, or sugar, either or. So if those resonate with you, then this is something to take a look at. How did you get into starvation mode? We are first responders, right? So you have stress to consider, you have shift work and sleep schedules to consider. You also have just not having like a nutritional foundation or knowing what you should be doing and why. One of those is if you're eating less than 3 meals a day, and or under, you might be eating 3 meals a day, but you still may not be getting enough calories in, so you could still be under eating. And then there's the poor modern dieting advice and all the myths and stuff that everybody has to weed through and surf through to try to figure out what makes sense. So the problem with modern nutrition advice. I threw out here a couple of myths and things that I've heard consistently, of things that people have tried when I first start talking to them. Eat less and move more. Everybody is super calorie conscious. Like, I have to be low calorie, I have to be low carb, I have to be low fat, fill in the blank. People are always concerned. They're like, oh, well, I had a cheeseburger, but I didn't eat the bun. Okay, well, I mean, unless you have a gluten intolerance, the bun's not going to kill you. So it's things like that. Not eating after 8 p.m. If you're an evening or night shift worker, that just doesn't freaking work. It doesn't work. And honestly, that's a myth anyways. It doesn't matter when you eat or when you don't eat. It's not going to affect you. You're not going to gain a bunch of weight just because you're snacking after 8 p.m. by itself anyway. Carbs are not bad. Carbs are good. Don't fear carbs. I'm sure y'all have seen me do posts on don't wage war on carbs. You need carbohydrates for energy. That is your main energy source. So cutting them out will probably still keep you feeling drained and sluggish and tired. Intermittent fasting, the thing with that is that some people will initially see weight loss with intermittent fasting, but that's because it reduces your eating window. So if you're overeating, if your problem is overeating instead of undereating, it may inherently reduce the amount of calories you're taking in, which could result in fat loss. But if you're not overeating and you're already undereating, intermittent fasting can actually make it worse. So there are other health benefits with intermittent fasting. I'm not going to get into that. So I mean, if you are doing that and you're seeing benefit from it for another reason other than trying to accomplish fat loss or weight loss, that's great. I'm not knocking it, but for the specifics of fat loss and weight loss, may not be your best avenue. Keto or any other extreme diets. I mean, obviously, if you're trying to go on a quote unquote diet, usually it's so extreme it's not sustainable. So you might be able to sustain it for a couple of weeks, and you're going to fall off the wagon and be right back at the beginning of the same problem you started with, right? So, what does all of this mean? Going into what starvation mode means for you, and as far as getting to reach your goals. Basically, you're conserving energy, like I said before. When you're not fueling your body enough, your body is in that conservation mode where it's trying not to expend calories. It's slowing your metabolism down because your metabolism is what burns calories, right? So that means your metabolism is often slow if you're in that starvation mode. What happens as a result of that is that you're actually holding on to the excess body fat that you're trying to lose. So in addition to that, you're also unable to build muscle or add strength. And your body's basically in a survival mode, saying you're not giving me enough, you're not giving me enough. I'm just going to hold on to everything I have right now because I don't know when my next meal is coming, or I don't know, or I'm so stressed out that I need more food and I'm just not getting it. So a great analogy for this is that you're barely putting enough gas in the tank to keep going down the road, and you're always running with the gas light on. So if you went to the gas station and you put in 5 gallons of gas in today's world, doesn't get you very far. That's what you're doing when you're not eating enough. You're going to one gas station, putting in 5 gallons of gas, and then you're driving down the road again. And then a little bit later, you're hungry again, so you put in 5 more gallons of gas, and then you keep going. Your tank is never full. You're always running on empty. And that's probably how your body feels. So it's a great way to think of it like that. Let me make sure I don't have anybody coming in yet. Any questions with any of that yet? No. Okay.
Questions.
Go ahead, Olivia.
Oh, I said no questions.
Oh, okay. Good deal. So a lot of this, the reason why I cover some of these things is because a lot of people come to me with these questions, and it's almost like you're getting into the weeds with, should I eat carbs? Should I not eat carbs? Is it bad to eat at this time? Is it good to eat at that time? You're getting into the weeds with a lot of stuff that big picture doesn't really matter as much as you think it might. So we're getting out of the weeds, and I'm going to keep it super simple for you. Step 1, eat whole foods. This means anything that's naturally occurring in nature. It's going to be animal products. It's going to be fruits and vegetables. It's going to be nuts and seeds, things like that. If you think of it, the best way to try and go about that is that when you go to the grocery store, you're shopping the interior perimeter of the store. Because aside from the bakery section, which is somehow always right or smack dab in our face when we walk in Walmart, right? The perimeter of the store is going to be your meat, your produce, and your dairy and eggs, mostly. Aside from that, if you need to go into the aisles to get some things, which you will, things like pasta, rice, and bread, those are still good and need to be routinely used in your diet. You need to look at those box labels. Make sure that the labels, and you're looking at the ingredients first. The nutrition facts may not matter as much. You need to look at the ingredients first and foremost. Typically, that's what I do. If I pick something up in the store, if any of you guys see my Costco videos that I post from time to time, I'm looking at the label on the back, and I'm looking at the ingredients and also the nutrition label, but mainly the ingredients. Anything that's whole food based should be about 5 ingredients or less. There could be some exceptions to that, but generically speaking, if you turn over a box of Pop-Tarts, like the ingredient list is a mile long. And it's also full of added sugar, seed oils, like the high fructose corn syrup, stuff like that, which is super processed. You want to keep that out of your diet. Without getting into a tangent on another subject, but that's what helps keep your body inflamed. You don't want inflammation in your body because that's what causes chronic disease and a whole mess of problems. So keep it simple. Keep it 5 ingredients or less if you're going down that aisle looking for something specific. Next step, cook at home, pack your food for work, following the 80-20 rule. I love the 80-20 rule. Sometimes it's going to be 75-25. I mean, if you have a bad week and it's 50-50, fine. At least you're doing something. At least you're cooking and eating something at home. You're not completely relying on what's eaten out. So the idea is that the majority of your food you're eating is cooked at home. That way, you know how it's prepared. You know what oil it's cooked in. You know what ingredients go into it. You know where your food is coming from. You're able to pack it and take it with you to work, versus relying on fast food or gas station snacks and junk food and stuff that's easily accessible when we're on shift. If you're out working the road, things like that, you do have to meal prep. If you want to be healthy, if you want to improve your life, even if you're just like, I don't really care about the weight loss or muscle gain or anything, you have to meal prep at some point. You really do. Your health depends on it, because if you go down the path of constantly relying on fast food, you're just going to run into chronic disease later on in life. The meal prep doesn't, but with that being said, the meal prep doesn't have to take hours of your time. You can get into the grocery store in and out in an hour. You can have like a meal prep, maybe hour or 2 hours at most. Get you some chicken cooked, get you some veggies prepped, maybe buy some ready rice. There's a lot of quick tips that I share with a lot of my one-on-one coaching clients, and sometimes within the group, the Facebook group too, to help you cut back on time for meal prep. It doesn't have to take a ton of time. It doesn't have to look like those pictures of like the bodybuilders post where they have like the counter covered with like Tupperware containers. That makes my head explode. I couldn't do that personally. Some people love it. But it doesn't have to be that way.
I use these. Can you see me?
I can see you, yeah.
Hang on. My brain's so fried
Camera
today.
on.
I love these. Multi-grain
Yeah,
medley. Let's see.
Those are a good one. Are those the Uncle Ben's ones?
They're the minute rice ones.
Minute rice, yeah. Minute rice, Uncle Ben's. There's like a Seeds of Change one, I think, something like that. Yeah, those are all really good, and those are great. I mean, honestly, if you had a pack of tuna and some ready rice, you could throw both of those in the microwave together and stir them up, and you have a meal. Like, it's that quick. It's that simple.
Last night, well, the other day when I went to the grocery store, I got some shredded chicken, like rotisserie chicken that they shredded. I did that. I did one of these multi-grain medleys and some avocado. What is it? Simply avocado green goddess dressing. That was dinner.
Yeah,
it was
chicken,
quick
rice, and avocado.
I don't have a whole lot of room and still haven't figured out how to cook in here yet.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've got a client right now who is a military guy, and he's living out of a hotel room. And so literally the majority, I think the entire time I've been working with him, we've been giving him different ideas to work out of a hotel room, because he's only got like a microwave. I think maybe he had purchased like a small crock pot that you can just plug in. But I mean, there's definitely ways to work around that, because if you're at work, all you have is a microwave, right? So it just takes some getting creative sometimes, but I like that. Good job. I haven't had that green goddess dressing, but I've seen it. I'll have to grab it next time. Cool. I like it. So some good ideas there. The next tip is building a balanced plate. This is the one thing I harp on that is like the most foundational thing I can teach anybody as far as what your plate should look like. Ideally speaking, it's not black and white, pass or fail. Ideally speaking, this should be your goal of what you want your plate to look like for each meal that you're eating of the day. So you have about a quarter of the plate is protein, about half of the plate is vegetables, about a quarter of the plate is your starchy carbs, which can include some fruits and vegetables in there too for your carbohydrates. But ideally speaking, fist size of protein or bigger, fill half the plate with veggies, fill the rest of it with your starchy carbs. If you can do that for 3 meals a day, you're on the right track as far as making sure you're getting in enough calories and you're not in that starvation mode. Which leads into that. Eat 3 meals a day plus snacks is needed. So I really should keep track of how many times I've had this conversation this week. I'm probably on my 4th or 5th or 6th client trying to get everybody to eat 3 meals a day. And actually, this is why I decided to do this training, because I've been repeating this conversation. So I figured it was good for everybody to hear. If you're not getting in 3 meals a day, you're not eating enough food. And I know a lot of female first responders, when they get in a system of working the road, they get so used to eating like that one big meal on shift, or maybe two at most. And then especially if you're on like evenings or midnights, that third meal like really never happens. I used to work with a guy who wouldn't eat an entire 10-hour shift. And I'm like, dude, how do you do that? He would eat breakfast before he got there. And then by the time we'd go home, he'd like go pig out and eat like some giant ass dinner. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how that's, I guess people get into that routine and it just becomes habit. So not knocking it. I mean, it's a real challenge. So again, working towards getting in those 3 meals that are the balanced plate template is really the goal. With that being said, it does take time to work up to that sometimes. So start with what you got and slowly add in some food over time. You don't have to absolutely gorge yourself just to jump to those 3 meals a day, especially if that's not been anywhere close to what you've been eating. The other point there is always keep snacks with you at work. Even if you have a lunchbox that you can keep with you in a patrol car, in a squad, on a fire engine, whatever, wherever you're at, keep a lunchbox of snacks. It doesn't necessarily have to be refrigerated either. It could be like tuna, beef jerky, protein bars, crackers, fruit, veggies, things like that. Because it almost always happens where you get stuck on something for hours on end and you have nothing. And that's just miserable. So that, or if you're running call to call and you're absolutely like your call load is slammed that day, you can grab a protein bar and munch on it on the way to your next call. It at least helps keep you satiated for most of the shift, where you're not like starving and hangry and mad at the world by the time you hit the McDonald's drive-through and then feel like absolute dog shit the rest of shift. I've been there, I've done it. Oklahoma, Texas people, I will never go back to Whataburger because I had a Whataburger night like that and it was absolutely awful. My stomach hurt for like 2 days after that because we got held over to the end of shift and that was the only thing that was open. But yeah, this kind of helps prevent some of those things happening. I think this is last 2 tips. Prioritize your protein. Protein's a big thing that needs to be within your diet because there's so many benefits of keeping protein in your diet. Starting with breakfast or the first meal of your day, depending on what shift you're on, you need to work to have at least 30 grams of protein to start the day. That's going to help keep you fuller longer. It's going to help from you having those sugar cravings mid-morning or even just like crashing mid-morning. Again, night shift people would be early on in your shift is what we'd be talking there. Each additional meal, lunch and dinner, should have 30 to 40 grams of protein. Depending on how much you weigh, that's probably a little low, but at a minimum should be 30 to 40 grams of protein. Because ideally you should get at least probably 100 to 125 grams of protein in per day at a bare minimum. I would try to shoot for higher than that for most people, but again, it depends. The main benefits of the protein, it's going to help keep you fuller longer. It's going to help with those sugar cravings. It's going to help keep your energy levels steady throughout the day too. Protein helps to build muscle and burn fat, which is what most people want. And then when you're building that muscle, more muscle means more fat loss, and more muscle also means that you have a better optimized metabolism. So if you could pick one thing from this entire presentation, eat your protein. Because it really helps you reach all of those goals that you're looking for, and I assume are wanting more better health out of it and also better energy levels. Last one is get moving. Without going into another presentation on how to work out and how to structure it and things like that. Again, like I said, keeping it basic, get moving 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week at a minimum. All of our jobs are super active. We have to be in shape. Like, it's not an option. It's a mandatory thing. We can't put ourselves in a situation where we're going to get injured or where we can't help our coworker out of a bad situation or where we can't save somebody's life when we were called there to do it, right? So if you don't have a fitness level to be able to do a minute or two of CPR, we got problems. So start here. Start with 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week, even if it's just walking. And we can dive in more to the exercise side of things. But I would focus more on the nutrition stuff and then try to work in your movement as you can throughout the week. Any questions about any of that? Good. Okay, got it. Okay, cool. All right. Really just the next steps. This is the most foundational thing I teach to all of my coaching clients, and this is the steps that I work through the 21-day challenges. The the two on the call here were within my 21-day challenge. But for those of you who weren't in it, I had a handful of people lose 5 to 10 pounds within the first 3 weeks. So super awesome. And I don't know if anybody else who's watching this can imagine just 3 weeks of dialing this stuff in and seeing 10 pounds come off. It's pretty alarming for most people. So it's cool stuff. It's simple stuff. So I threw in here a couple reviews or testimonials from the people who did that 21-day challenge. We had one who said she lost inches off her waist, her legs and arms are more defined, she feels better mentally, physically, emotionally. She's found peace in working out, and used that working out as a coping mechanism to make it through a really rough shift. So that's cool, right? Other benefits we don't think about, mental health, coping mechanisms, all of those things, those benefits that you still get mental benefits from improving your nutrition, improving your fitness, things like that. Another one who said she was kind of in the shadows. She didn't really post much, but she lost 5 pounds and found a workout partner because she found that helps motivate her more, and she found the accountability. So fantastic. Another one who lost 10 pounds said she didn't post much, again, was kind of in the shadows, but refocused her priorities, but still was able to lose 10 pounds. And this one y'all might recognize. We had Mary here who's on the call, who did awesome in the 21-day challenge, said that she was stuck for 2 years, was working out 5 days a week, had cleaned up her nutrition a little bit, started prioritizing mental health, and still working through some sleep, but getting better, I think, right? Since then, yeah, awesome. Started at 225 and now she was 215 by the end of that, and we're still working one-on-one to help see where she can end up with that. But the big thing that I think is cool is she said, I'm eating more food now than I was when we started. Whoops. So it's cool how that works. Maybe slowing down a little bit, not going so balls hard at the wall with exercise and just stress and just layering all the stress on your body. To take a step back, prioritize mental, physical health, and change your nutrition a little bit, and 10 pounds comes off your body. So, and also increasing your food too. That's the process. It seems counterintuitive, but it works. So the next steps I have in here, and I'll link this. Well, I suppose you two probably already have it. If you don't, I'll send it to you again. I have a link here that if anybody who watches this, you can hit me up. You can hit that link and get a shift work nutrition guide. That takes the next steps forward into structuring your meals. So this would be like the next step after you implement all of these things within this training. Some would be overlap, but this just goes into more meal ideas and how to structure it around your day, depending on what shift you're on. So some good help there. So I can post that link with that too. So anybody who wants it can have that. And that's all I got. Any questions? You have to unmute yourself. Let me stop sharing.
I was just going to ask you, you know how you said, I have 2 questions. One, like prioritize protein. So I'm eating a lot more protein than and I'm doing good at meeting my protein goals. But then I feel like I struggle with getting my carbs in, like, because I feel like that's a lot of carbs. Is it okay to like slowly keep trying to increase them? Because what I'm noticing now is before I wasn't hungry, like eat 1-2 meals a day, like, right. But now it's like I'll eat and then like 2 to 3 hours later, if I don't, I start to get hungry, and if I don't eat, I get a headache. So like, which I think it's just working better, but I'm still having trouble meeting the carb goals, which is crazy because I love carbs, but it's just like I'm full, like I'm eating the things and the protein's keeping me full. So I'm not like,
Yeah, so maybe that looks more like a snack somewhere in there. Like do you eat something before you work out usually? Like within like an hour of working out?
normally I don't like, I was trying to think. I have done a banana before, like before I hit the gym. But like if I work out really heavy, I typically don't do it like right before I work out hard because I don't want to feel sick. Like if I overexert myself.
Yeah. So that's a great time for a banana, either before or after you work out. If you feel better stomach wise, eating it afterwards, that's fine. but that would be a good place for some carbohydrates is either before or after your workout, because before obviously would help you fuel your workout. If you have it after, it just helps to start replenishing the body and the muscles after you work. If you eat the banana or whatever after you work out too.
Okay. And then seed oils, I had never heard that before. So seed oils cause inflammation, and we just stay away from like grapeseed oil. I'm assuming that you're talking about stuff like that.
Peanut oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, those are all inflammatory in the body. And it's crazy. Like, I feel like everything has sunflower oil in it now. So it's one of those things. That's why in checking ingredients are good to do, just to make sure that you're keeping it at a minimum, because sometimes it's really hard to bypass some of that stuff. Like, I think I found, and again, this is getting off into the weeds a little bit, but I think I found like one of the ready rice packets or whatever had like sunflower oil in it. I'm like, why? Why would you add oil to rice when rice is just rice? I don't know. But it's just something to be cognizant of when you're when you're looking at the ingredient labels, because obviously a little is not going to be a big deal. It's when like everything you're eating has those seed oils in it, then it starts to become a problem.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, thank you for that, because I had never, or I use olive oil mostly if I'm going to use any oil, but I never thought to look on the back of packages to see whether it included it or not. Like, because I don't just go buy it off the shelf. So then I was thinking, wow, I wonder how much of my stuff that I eat has that crap in it.
Yeah. That's the main one that I can think of right now, because I was looking at it. I was looking at like a ready rice packet of some sort. I can't remember what brand it was. But yeah, if you're buying anything that's more of like a quick prep snack or a packaged snack, you might just take a glance at it to see what the extra stuff in there is, because they get into the preservatives and stuff to give stuff shelf life and things like that. So that's kind of where those additives come in. If you're trying to, I don't want to say cut corners, but like be more efficient with your meal prep time, sometimes that sneaky stuff comes back in too. So, but obviously not everybody wants to constantly cook chicken, rice, and broccoli and cook everything from scratch all the time, because we ain't got time for that. Let's be real. So some tricks of the trade. But yeah, just watch out for that. And a good way to balance those seed oils is taking fish oil too, because that's like the good fats, the omega-3s. The bad oils are the omega-6s. So that's where disease happens, is where you get too much of the omega-6s and not enough of the omega-3s. So taking some fish oil can help balance that out, because it gives you more of the good fats instead of the unhealthy fats. So for what it's worth.
Thank you.
But you're welcome. Any questions, Miss Olivia?
No, ma'am, not today.
Stay cool down there.
I'm trying. That's why I'm in the air conditioning. That's why we did all the work today before noon.
Oh, yeah. Are you getting some electrolytes too, I hope?
Yes. I found some in all the stuff that's gotten donated to us. I found some Propel, some sugar-free Propel, and I like the strawberry kiwi one. So I've been doing that as well as water.
There you go. I used to drink that stuff a lot. I think the Propel got me through my police academy.
I did have a good old fashioned Gatorade today. I just went to the store and bought everybody Gatorades and waters while we were working. So it was
those are good.
It was a healthy and fit Gatorade. It was watermelon strawberry. It's really good.
They do have those now. I don't think those have much added sugar, if any, in them either. They're not like the regular, like loaded up sugary Gatorade either.
Yeah, I don't think so. My dad's girlfriend saves cans or saves bottles. So, well, her brother's in California, and so they get money back from them. So
I gotcha. Okay, yeah, I remember we got one of those one day. Yeah, they're pretty good. Those are another good option.
And the ingredients aren't horrible either. So I can actually,
good. I like it.
Yeah. So
cool.
So
good
that's
to
what
know
I had
for the hot summer months.
Yeah.
Good deal. All right. Well, y'all have a good evening. I got nothing more for you unless you got more questions for me.
No, thank you.
Y'all have a good evening.
right.
You too.
All right. See you guys later.
Bye.